Hi, everybody. Welcome back. So, after my last video talking about just what things were like for me in childhood and in high school, that's heavy stuff. And it's not something that I dwell on at all or really think about very much. So it was hard for me to actually talk about it. And this next one, this video that I'm going to do today, is even harder to talk about because it was just a really dark time in my life. And I don't know anyone with lupus who does not also fight depression. And that was a big theme in my life during the years of 21 to 24, which is what I'm going to talk about today. So I have been thinking about it for the last few days, just what I'm going to say, and I have it all written down and everything like that. But I got to stop thinking about it because it's really bumming me out. So I am going to just go ahead and plow through and do this video today. So thanks for hanging out. Thanks for listening to my story. In case I don't say it later, go ahead and like and subscribe if you will. I would love to hear from you too in the comments, and maybe we can talk about our journeys together. So at 21, I was working full time. I was living with my boyfriend at the time, Ryan, and I hit this patch of depression that I could not shake. And it was, he was working nights, I was working days, so we didn't see each other very much. And I was pretty far away from my family, and we had also moved about a half an hour south. So I was far away from my work friends as well, which had kind of become my social network at the time. And so I hit a really dark space. And I noticed one thing where every time I would stop working, every single weekend or every single holiday break or 3-day weekend or something like that, I would get really sick where I couldn't get out of bed. I would get a cold, I would get a headache, I would get something where I couldn't function if I slowed down at all. And it was like if I kept up at my 90 miles an hour speed that I was going, I was fine. But if I ever slowed down, I would just completely crash. And so during that time where I was still, kind of figuring out what was going on with my body, and I can't even say I was trying to figure out what was going on with my body, because the only thing I felt was that my body was failing me, or frustration with my own body, because it wouldn't do the things that I really wanted it to do. And so I started going back to school during that time. I went to a college down in Indy, and I quit my job so that I could do school as fast as possible. I finished a 4-year degree in 3 years, and I ended up switching colleges during then too, so I had to repeat some classes, and it was a whole thing. But I crammed a 4-year degree into 3 years, and a lot of those semesters I had an 18 credit hour workload, which is not like advisable. I know there's some people who are like, oh, I did 23 or whatever, but y'all are smarter than me. So I did 18-hour credit semesters, and they were very difficult for me. But during that time, even the change of scenery, even the change of things that I was doing did not shake the depression that I had. And it started to affect my body as well. Or maybe my body was affecting the depression, the forever chicken and egg situation of lupus. But one thing that I started to notice was I couldn't work out without getting a fever. And there was 1 month in particular where I had a fever every single day. No other symptoms, just exhaustion and fever, a low-grade fever. And I remember telling, at that point, he was my fiance, telling my fiance, feel me. And he would always feel me. We would take my temperature and I was hot, but there was really nothing else going on. And like most college students, I did not have a primary care physician or really any need to go to the doctor for medication or anything like that. And so I remember after that month, we ended up going to urgent care. And the doctor diagnosed me with malaise, which if you've ever read the definition of malaise, it is a French word for feeling kind of bad. He gave me a low-dose antibiotic, and everything seemed to get better after that. And so that bothered me because malaise sounded like a psychological issue. And I knew that it was not in my head. I definitely had something wrong. But I couldn't figure it out what it was. And so after that, I seemed fine for a while. But I started getting my mental health just really went down the drain. I started getting panic attacks where I had never gotten panic attacks in my life. I have dyslexia. I've had it since as long as I can remember. I didn't read till I still don't really read, but reading has always been a challenge for me. And it was really hard for me to start reading, just the hooked on phonics, for as long as I can remember. But that always caused a lot of anxiety in me. So I had always kind of battled some kind of either social anxiety or school anxiety or something like that ever since I was very young. I think 5 or 6 was the first time I remember feeling that like pain in my chest just about like, things coming up that I was going to have to deal with. And but I started getting full-blown panic attacks when I was in school where I was crying uncontrollably. I couldn't breathe. I had to get in a very small space. I would lock myself in a closet or just like, I remember one time trying to get into my dryer because it was like the closest space that I could get. And just really feeling that like darkness come over me. And so different things happened in my life. We ended up buying a house together, me and my fiance. And I remember the first day that we moved, I had moved a bunch of furniture that day. And I remember just like laying down in the yard and shaking like I had chills. And it wasn't a cold day. It wasn't a super warm day. It was like April in Indiana. So, light jacket weather. But I remember laying down on the ground and shaking uncontrollably because I was so cold. And also, I just didn't have any energy after that. It was like I would go to sleep and I would wake up and just my energy was completely zapped and I couldn't understand it. And I also had a lot of issues with headaches and achiness is how it felt. It wasn't full-blown joint pain yet, but it was pretty difficult. So, little secret about me, I smoked. I did. From the time I was 21 to the time I was 24, around this time when we moved into the house. And I wasn't a pack a day or anything like that, but I did smoke maybe 1 to 5 cigarettes every day, depending on what I was doing or who I was with. And so once we moved, 2015, I believe it was, so I was about to turn 25, I was tired of feeling like crap all the time. And so I stopped smoking cold turkey, which wasn't that hard on, just a couple cigarettes a day. It wasn't hard at all. But I started working out. I started running. I bought myself a treadmill. And I also had read some books about the placebo effect. And I'm a psych major, so I was all about, not falling for the placebo effect and everything like that. So I actually stopped taking all the supplements that I was taking as well. I only drank water. I was very consistent with a healthy diet and everything like that. And I thought that was going to cure me. But what it did was it flew me into a flare that actually kicked off my entire lupus journey, where shortly after I started doing all those things, I realized that I would sprain myself running. And so I would either hurt my knees or hurt my ankles, and it would take a good week for it to bounce back. And they would be red and swollen and pink, as joint pain is with lupus. And I remember going on vacation that year and thinking this will be a good break from all the exercise I've been doing because I'm tired of being in pain. And it was not a break. It hurt even more. The less exercise I did, the more I hurt. And that shouldn't be happening if what you're trying to do is heal from an injury, which is what I always believed that I was doing. I had pain in the bottom of my feet. I had depression that I could not shake no matter what I did. I had back pain, fatigue, joint pain. For my fiance and my wedding coming up, I made individual favors that were hand embroidered, and I made different patterns for each one. And my hands would get so red and swollen after doing just one that I had to space them out so that I could only do one every few days because they were so painful for me. And that was when my mental health just went off the deep end. I wasn't nice to anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. I just I couldn't figure out what was going on with me. And I also am a deeply introverted person. And so I didn't even have the words to say how much pain I was in. And I remember one dinner in particular where my fiance at the time, Ryan, actually looked at me and he's just like, "Do you not like me anymore?" And I was completely taken aback. I was like, "What? No, I love you. What are you talking about?" And he was just like, "You're always so mean." And I was just like, "I'm in pain all the time. My back hurts. My knees hurt. Like, I make dinner and I can't even sit in this chair because it's so painful." And he looked at me with these wide eyes and he goes, "That's not normal." And I was just like, "No, it is for me. Like, I've been feeling like this for a while." And his eyes got even bigger. And for anyone that knows Ryan, he already has really big eyes. And so he's just staring at me and he's like, this is not normal. You need to get this checked out." And that was the first time it had ever occurred to me that it was something that I was actually battling and not just something that was part of me. And, so it actually took me 8 weeks after that conversation to go to the doctor. And I feel like this is also a common story that I hear a lot with lupus patients, is how long it takes them from realizing something's wrong to actually going and talking to somebody about it. Because when you hurt a little bit more every day and you always expect to get better every day, you don't realize how bad you're getting until you're really, really bad. And so I remember him just asking me every day after work, like, "How you feeling? What's going on? What's going on with you? Okay, do you want to go? Do you want to go?" And so finally we went to urgent care, and that was where they saw my rashes, which I had been battling off and on for years. And they said, "You have psoriasis and you have psoriatic arthritis." And that was one of many of my false diagnosis, which I'll probably go into each one in a different video. But that first urgent care visit to address all my joint pain was kind of the beginning of my road through all the doctors to get to a final diagnosis of lupus. So I will talk about that in future videos, but that was kind of what it looked like from 21 to 24, just looking at all the symptoms and actually leading to the point where I was like, okay, I have something and it's not normal and it's not me injuring myself and it's not me eating poorly because I don't do any of those things. So, yeah, that was where I was at that point. Whew, got through it. I did it. Well, I already asked you before, but please like and subscribe. I would really love to get to know you more if you ever want to talk. Also, my Instagram handle is Tori Brain. You can go into my bio on YouTube and find it. You can also reach me on there. So yeah, hope to talk to you guys soon, and I'll talk more about it in a future video.